If you're feeling stuck and trapped in your own life, here are 5 things that you can do to help yourself get out of a rut and start living a life that you are in love with. I was always the quiet one, reserved. I had never really done anything too outside the box or unexpected, and people just assumed that I was just going to stay the course. And I think my family was a little bit worried about me actually because of this drastic decision that I made, like, oh, I'm just gonna leave and go do this thing across the country and just leave everybody behind. But I mean, it was the best decision that I had ever made. And it totally changed everything about my life trajectory. I used these 5 steps to break myself free of a life that I did not want. I was miserable working 2 jobs that were meaningless to me. I felt completely hopeless and unfulfilled with the career trajectory that I was taking, and I was living with my whole family, meaning my parents, my aunt, my nana, my sister, my cousin. It was a full house and it was not mine. And I didn't have a social life really because I was so disconnected from all the people around me, feeling like they didn't understand me, they weren't interested in the same things that I was, and it just felt very lonely and isolating. So there was nothing about my life that I really was excited about, and I had no idea how to change it. But doing these 5 things helped me to gain control of my life through surrender. So much so that I was able to quit my old life completely. I quit my jobs, I left my home, I moved across the country, and I started living in an eco-village to learn about permaculture because that's what felt completely right for me after figuring things out. Now, you may not want to do something this drastic, and you don't have to, but the principles are still the same. The 5 steps are still the same, and I know that this can help you. Stick around to find out how you can change your life, how you can apply this to your own life. And obviously, if this is something that goes beyond just being stuck and feeling trapped in your life, if depression goes along with this, then you're going to want to reach out to seek a therapist or some kind of mental health professional to help you through that as well. So in 2014, I had just turned 31, and I was sitting alone in my windowless room in the finished apartment of my family's house, thinking like, how am I still here? How am I still in the same situation that I was when I graduated high school, when I went to college, when I started going out with my boyfriend of 10 years, and when we broke up? I'm still in the same place. I'm still doing the same thing, thinking the same thoughts, having the same routine, still unhappy and getting nowhere. I was still working the same job that I was working when I was in high school. And I was training to become head of the department. And I didn't want that. And I was looking out into my future and seeing where I was headed. And I was starting to feel this sense of despair and doom. So I realized that I had been letting my life just pass me by. I was not an active participant. So on my birthday, when I turned 31 in 2014, I decided that I didn't know what I was going to do next year, but I was going to do something big. I was going to step out of my life and do something drastic, do something that I really wanted to do instead of just mindlessly following the path that was previously laid out for me. So I had begun hiking, and it was just by myself in nature. It was just something that I loved doing. And it really, at this point, it was the only thing that I really liked about my life. I would go hiking, I would get lost in it. I would love just taking pictures of all these like little worlds that I found that nobody else knew about, like the life of a mushroom at the foot of a pine tree, like a green, shiny beetle struggling over these pebbles. And just these simple little moments that I just could zoom in on and try to capture. And I was just in this space of flow and timelessness. So that's the first thing that I did. I got into something that I could totally lose myself in and get beyond my mind. Because your mind is what's holding you back. It's holding all of these patterns and specific ways of being, this routine that you've gotten into, and all of these negative false beliefs and these fears. So we're just continually overthinking things, trying to logic our way out of being in a rut, and it doesn't work. So doing something that you love, that you can lose yourself in, and really just let the whole world just kind of melt away, and you're focused in on this thing and lose all sense of time in the beauty of it, in the creativity of it. For me, it was because it was nature and I felt a real connection to that, and because it was something creative that I could do with the photography. And second point is I was moving my body. So that's another thing that you do. First one's getting that hobby or activity or something that you're interested in or excited about, and then moving your body. Because when we're stuck and stagnant, it's a very, very still energy. You've got to get things moving in order to change, in order to pump different chemicals through your body, get things flowing, because we hold a lot of energy and emotions in our body, and if we're not moving them physically, it's hard to move them energetically and emotionally. So that's really important, and it's really cool if you could tie these two together. And it's not a necessity, because you could just do your creative or flow activity and you could also exercise. Excuse me. You could do yoga, swimming, dancing, anything. And you could also get into the flow with this. So that flow state is going to be really important. The third thing that I did that I didn't realize was helping with this was something that I had done all my life. And that's journaling. Journaling has been there for me when I was feeling pretty lonely in my life. It's just been a continuous thing kind of in the backdrop of my life. But at this point, I was doing a specific type of journaling, and that was stream of consciousness journaling, where, and I had learned this from Julia Cameron from the book The Artist's Way. It's very famous. You may have heard of this already, where she calls it the morning pages, where you just write 3 pages in the morning. It's kind of like a brain dump, and you're continually writing. You're not stopping your pen. It's just, it could be gibberish. It could come out as just the same sentence repeating over and over until something else comes. You just don't stop your pen. You're continually just busy doing something, and then eventually stuff will bubble up and reveal itself. And the point is to get down into your subconscious mind, where all of your hidden desires and wants and needs all live, but they've been kind of repressed. They're not in your conscious mind yet. So just like getting in the flow state, it's getting your mind out of the way and letting something else take over. Your subconscious, your higher self, those need to be able to come through or bubble up. Another way that you could do this is just to ask your guidance, your higher self, source, God, the universe, to just write through you any message that you need to know or any action that you need to do, and just keep your pen moving, and eventually it will take over and something amazing could come out. Something will come through. So the fourth thing is you want to let yourself daydream. I know that a lot of people think that that is probably just a waste of time, but what I mean is envisioning yourself being totally fulfilled and happy and being free and joyful. Like, what are you doing to make you feel that way? What are the kinds of things that would make you feel that way? Kind of let yourself think up these even unrealistic scenarios. Let yourself just play. It's just about being creative or just letting your guidance come through. And you could tie this into the journaling as well. So if you wanted to write some of these things down, that would be good to just kind of keep track of all these different possibilities that have come through. I also forgot to mention, if you don't like writing, then you could always just take your phone or some kind of recording device and just talk, and to just keep talking. Talk to your higher self, talk to yourself, talk to the universe, but just don't stop talking. Just keep going, and eventually you'll get to something real. Okay, the fifth key is to surrender. So this is kind of weaved through all the previous 4 things that you can do, and I think it's the most important, because when you are letting go of control, something else will automatically take over, and there's an intelligence to that. So when I started hiking, it was once per week. I built up to like 2 times per week. I just kind of tried to fit it in between my jobs, and I didn't have really a social life, so I did have some time, and I had become clearer and more content. But I knew that I didn't want contentment. I wanted change. But I surrendered. I didn't worry about what that change was going to be or what that was going to look like. Like I said, I was in the realm of possibility, and I just let myself daydream about all the different things that I would love to do. If I had no obstacles, if money wasn't an issue, if I had no responsibilities and obligations, what would I do with my time right now? What would I do? And I was like, oh, I'd like to hike the Appalachian Trail. I'd like to go live in an eco-village. I'd like to learn about permaculture. I want to finally visit the redwoods. Like, I just let myself go with all the different things that I would love to do. All of this was just happening in the background of me hiking, getting into my flow state, and journaling, stream of consciousness. And I hiked for 6 months. And one day on a hike in December, I just knew. I just knew what I was going to do. And I wanted to go across the country to live in an eco-village and learn about permaculture. So I went home. I applied to a program that I found on the West Coast, and they accepted. So I immediately bought my plane ticket, and then I was like, well, I gotta tell my family. And they were shocked. And that's an understatement. So after I told my family of my plans to leave life behind and go live in an eco-village for a bit, I was like, well, I've got to tell my managers. So I went to the job that I had had all through high school. So I had been there for 15 years. And I told him, this program lasts for 3 months. So I was wondering if I could have my job back when I get back. Because I was just planning on going there for a little while, learning what I could, and then applying that to my life. And that's how I was going to change my life. The aftermath, like after learning about permaculture, that's how I was going to change my life. I was going to probably maybe have like a homestead and be self-sustainable and start living my values. But he said that I could not expect to get my same position back, and that I could not expect to get the pay that I was getting, and I would have to start back at minimum wage. After 15 years of working there, I was kind of in shock, but whatever. I understand, like, you have to get somebody to fill that spot. It was the minimum wage thing that was really bothering me though. But anyway, I was just like, well, I quit. And then I went to my other job and said, I quit. So I quit both. This job, I was holding on to this job for so long. I was stuck there because I was afraid of what I would have to do, of how I would have to step up. And I had such low self-confidence in my ability to do anything better or different or more meaningful to me, because I just didn't think I could do it. And I could not see any other possibilities for me. Even though I had gone to college and I knew I was intelligent, I just kept this grocery store job for 15 years, thinking like, I guess I'll just become head of my department and it's the next logical step, I guess. I couldn't see myself doing anything more, anything different, even though I knew I wanted to do something different with my life. But this was my chance. I was like, well, now I don't have that safety net anymore. I'm going to have to do something different. I'm going to have to live out my dreams. But I didn't worry about that either. I was like, this is what I'm doing now. I'm going to live in this eco-village. So maybe I'll just worry about it when it comes. And I was fine doing that, because once I was through that experience, I was a different person with different skills and had met different people and saw new opportunities. So like from there, not that it was easy, but more possibilities were open. I was no longer stuck. It was the best decision that I had ever made. And it totally changed everything about my life trajectory. It changed who I was, because of how much I learned in such a short amount of time. I took this big risk. And whenever you do that, you learn a lot. And I just had this knowing about it because of what I had done. I had cleared my mind and gotten into this flow state and gotten my mind out of the way for the guidance that would come up. I was moving my body, getting the energy flowing, doing something different, getting my emotions to come through. Like the stream of consciousness journaling helped me get to my subconscious and reveal what I truly wanted to do with my life instead of doing what everybody else expected me to do. And letting myself daydream about all the different things, all the different possibilities, even if they were unrealistic. I just went with it. And then I just surrendered. I didn't make the choice. I let the choice come find me. And because I was open to it, because of all the previous things that I had been doing, it just came straight through, and there was a knowing that this was right. It felt right and aligned. And when I got there, I just knew everything just fell into perfect place. And I was overwhelmed by, it was a culture shock living in an eco-village, considering what my life was like before. And it just set me on this totally different path that I will talk about in other videos. But don't get me wrong, there was a lot of dark times that came after that. It was an extreme learning process, this chapter of my life, because I was doing so many different things outside of my comfort zone. And that's where learning and change comes from. So after you get yourself into this flow, surrendered state where everything's possible and you just let your guidance flow through, then you take the risk. It doesn't have to be as drastic as mine, like quitting your entire life, leaving your family, and going to move across the country to live in an eco-village. It doesn't have to be that drastic. It could be something much smaller. But the point is to go through these steps and remain consistent in your commitment to yourself and prioritizing your own happiness, because you deserve a life that you desire. You deserve a life that you desire. So have patience with this. It's not an overnight thing. It's a process. It will take time to, kind of get to know yourself a little bit and clear things out so that your intuition can guide you through. So let me know what you guys think of these, or if there's anything else that you think that could help those of us who get stuck and feel trapped sometimes. Or if you've had some kind of experience like mine where you did do something drastic, and talk about like if you regretted it or not, because for me it was the best decision of my life, and the benefits, I'm still reaping the benefits today. Not that I don't get stuck once in a while, but now I know how to get myself out of it. So if there's anything else that you guys do to help yourself kind of get motivated or get unstuck or unblock, let me know in the comments. And thanks so much for watching, sharing, liking, and subscribing. And I will see you guys next week.